Today's podcast is brought to you by TRC. Total Roofing and Construction is an exterior contractor specializes in residential and commercial roofing. They started as a purely commercial roofing contractor and now do a variety of services such as siding, gutters, windows, fascias, soffits, solar, of insurance restoration. They have been doing construction since 1985. Their service area is mostly Will County, Illinois, and Lake County, Indiana. Welcome back to MVGA Podcast. Here at Make Veterans Great Again, our mission is to reach out to fellow brothers and sisters in arms to conquer our mental health together. Just a reminder, you are not alone. Today, I'd like to introduce United States Navy veteran, Petty Officer 2nd Class Hayes, CEO and owner of Red, White, and Badass Brew. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, of course. Thank you for making it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It means a lot for you to take the time out of your day to just talk to me. So I appreciate it.
Any day, man. Any day that we can go out and help veterans, I'll do that day in, day out, man.
Absolutely. So how's your morning going so far?
It's going good. We just dropped the kids off at school and then kind of getting that work routine and, checking the boxes and getting things done.
Right.
And getting ready for a big weekend. And then I have another big interview tomorrow. So
okay, that's good.
Just kind of getting ready, preparing for the events that are coming up in the next few days.
That's good. You grinding. You keeping a calendar? How well do you plan or write down your events that you have going on, your schedule?
All of them. Okay. I have to write down everything. If I don't write it down, it's not going to happen. It's just
same, like you forget.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things you have every intention to fulfill what you said you were going to do, but then life events come up, kids, work, etc. Especially with the holidays, you know what I mean? Trying to keep track of everything mentally, it is daunting and tough. So for me to release some of that pressure, I write it down. And that way, when I go through it and I check it off, boom, 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 boom. And if I have events, I have to put them in my calendar, or else it's about a 99.9% chance I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, that's something I definitely need to get better on. That's why I love the Calendarly app, because it literally tells me my schedule for me, so I can just go in there and look. But I have other events or other things I want to do, and I forget about them until it's too late to either sign up or it's already passed. So I have to get better at writing shit down and recording it. My wife put up a calendar in our room so she can know what I'm doing. And she's like, why did I put this up? You don't even fucking use it. And I was like, you're right, honey. I love you. I'm sorry. Take it down a notch, but I'll get better at
it. Well, it's just working with what you are good at. You know what I mean? If a physical calendar isn't the thing, then maybe it's electronic, and maybe you kind of share your calendar with her electronically, so that way she has that too.
We have that too, but I just need her to download the Calendarly app then, because I don't transfer it to our calendar.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's my fault. I'm slacking, so I got to step up, got to hold myself accountable.
Yeah, I agree. Right. I agree,
Enough with the bullshit and excuses. Just hold yourself accountable and move forward.
Just gotta do it.
Right.
It's
well, what was your life like before you joined the military?
Oh, wow. Well, before I ended up joining the military, actually, I dropped out of high school. I was a knucklehead just like everybody else was, man, and just effing around in school. And wasn't doing very good, and so I decided to drop out, man, and join the Navy. Well, my dad actually told me when I told him I was going to drop out, he's like, "All right, well, you have 30 days to get your shit together."
Okay.
So that's what led me to the Navy. So I went into the Navy recruiting office. I had a buddy, talked to them, went on for 8 years on active duty, then the rest reserve, and ended up flying drones, man.
That sounds
cool.
For
the Navy. Yeah.
So did you have to get your GED then?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, right off the rip. They're like, not only did I have to get my GED, but I had to go to this school called Job Corps.
Job Corps?
Yeah, Job Corps.
Okay.
JOBCORP. And what they do is they help people who drop out of high school
Okay.
get their GED and facilitate them into job placement and to get them and provide training and skill sets for them to, get gainful employment.
Well,
once
that's
they're
that's
done with
kind
the
of good.
program.
That's kind of useful, right?
Oh,
Oh, did
100%.
you find it useful?
Yeah, but I already had the game plan.
Right.
So I didn't really need the job placement or the skill set. Or at least I thought. But had fun while I was there. But then I already knew I was going to go in the military. So I had to complete 6 months of this job corps before I went into the military.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And then once I graduated, like a month after I graduated, they shipped me off.
Okay.
Great mistakes.
Yeah. It's up north of Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Did you oh man, what was my question? All right. Anyways, what was your time like in the Navy?
It was good, man. I got lucky after I got off active duty and went reserves. I worked close with my CO and my commanding officer. I missed drill weekend. One time he calls me up. He goes, "Hey, there's this program where you can fly UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, small drones." And he was telling me about it like, it's like playing video games and it's like playing PlayStation or Xbox and yada yada yada. And so as he was telling me this, I was like, man, I don't check that box. I don't check that box. I don't check that box. And I told him, I was like, I'm good. This doesn't sound like a job that is a good fit for me. So he told me, great, I'll sign you up. So he thought I'd be a great fit for it. Ended up, I was actually really good at flying drones. Ended up being very good at it. So I'm glad he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself.
Right.
And he signed me up. And so went to school, learned how to fly drones, and then ended up getting selected to serve alongside the SEAL teams.
Okay.
Some of their highest priority missions. And then went, not only that, but I was attached to MARSOC, ODA guys. And don't ask me for what ODA stands for. I can't remember anymore. And then and then I ended up getting hurt while I was out there with the SEAL team.
Did you break your thumb?
I would. that would have been a lot easier. We started getting what we call effective fire on us.
Okay.
And they just started, just dropping in some orders and stuff on us. And I was on a tower and I just jumped off of it and ended up rolling my freaking ankle, tearing a ligament, and stayed on it for another 6 months after it happened. Okay. And I wasn't going to leave. I wasn't going to leave my guys. Not only whatever team I was attached to, but the guys that were out there flying drones with me, because there was only like 5 of us. So that would have greatly, me being gone would have put a hurt on my whole team. Right. So I was like, I sucked it up and just kept going. And ended up coming back, and Navy did a couple of surgeries on me and ended up just effing up my ankle even more. And finally the Navy's like, hey, you're no longer an asset to us, you're a liability, so it's over. Damn. So there I was, man, done. Didn't know what the hell to do. Been on active duty. I only served like a year, some change on the reserves before I got called back up to active duty.
Okay.
Yeah, that was quite interesting. And then yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I want to know about all that as well, but I'm just curious about flying drones, right? Like,
sure.
So you went out on the missions with them, or you? Yeah. So okay, I wasn't sure because I know some people still stay in the States and they get to fly from here.
Yeah, we're not talking about big drones, man. We're talking about these small little drones. The wingspan on it was 6 foot. Nose to tail was 4 foot. And it was just a small drone. You launch it. It's a line of sight. So we would launch it from the hub. And if you're out there with the teams, you would take it over in the air. So you'd end
Okay,
up
that's
picking
cool.
it up in the air, taking it over and flying whatever missions you got going on, and then handing it back to the hub, and they would take it in from there. And then you
Okay.
go about your day for whatever you're doing. Or if you have no drones that day, you're, doing whatever you're doing to help the teams out.
Okay.
But yeah, it was good, man. I loved it. I love flying the drones. But yeah, definitely not stateside. You're out there with them. I mean, you're flying it on a little tough computer, little laptop,
Yeah, that's awesome.
so whenever a compound you're taking over, or if you're flying around, or if you're driving around, you're flying it on the,
Man, sounds like real life Call of Duty.
it was real life Call of Duty. Like, when you call in the UAVs, like that's no shit what I would be doing. Is I
Okay.
would be tracking these guys and find out where they are. It was fun. I loved it. I love that cat and mouse game too.
And how long did you do that for?
For about 3 years.
Okay. And then you ended up getting medically
Yeah,
retired.
2 years. Yeah, medically retired. Yeah.
So that, I mean, transitioning out of the military is already hard enough, but when it's no longer your choice, like it's got to be a whole nother struggle.
I took it extremely hard.
I would
Um,
imagine.
yeah, I didn't take it well when they told me I was a liability and not an asset. I struggled with it big time.
I can imagine.
And then I struggled finding my place out in the civilian world. Just I couldn't find a job, and eventually it led to me. I eventually found a job as a handyman for one of my buddies, and then I was like, you know what? There's more to life than this, and ended up starting a construction business.
Okay.
So me and my father-in-law ended up starting a construction business and did pretty well, man. We built it up to a decent business, and then we knew for us to go farther in the construction industry, we needed to bring on a partner with a certain skill set. And so we found that partner, and we brought him on, and now there was 3 of us in the business, in the construction business.
Okay.
And then we ended up doing pretty well. We turned into a multi-million-dollar business. And then in 2017, me and my wife at the time got divorced. In 2018, my father-in-law, 2018, he was my ex-father-in-law, ended up coming down with lung cancer and passing away in 2019. And then in 2020, I found out that my business partner that was left started another business behind my back, started moving assets out of the account to feed the other business, using assets that we've built on our business on that business, and started not managing his projects. And so I was over here thinking I was going to become a millionaire, on my way to become a millionaire, and found out I was $700K in debt in a matter of weeks.
Damn.
Yep. And
Yeah.
so after I found that out, we closed down that business in 2021, and then I opened a solar cleaning business and started doing pretty well in that, and then ended up getting skin cancer. So I opened up the solar cleaning business, started doing very well in it. Went to go get a tattoo on my back, and the tattoo artist guy goes, "Hey, dude, you should go get these moles checked out on your back." And at first I was like, "This guy don't know shit." Then I started thinking about it, like, man, this guy sees skin all day, so he might know something. So I ended up going to a dermatologist, and she's like, "Yep, you probably should not be doing the solar cleaning business anymore." And they cut them out. And now I go every 6 months to get checked out to make sure there's nothing reoccurring. And so now I was left like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? Now I have this business that another business that I just built. I ended up selling it. And so I'm sitting there with a overpriced cup of coffee. And as I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? I think I could do a better job at making coffee than the one I'm drinking right now. And so I did what you think I would do next. I Googled how to start a coffee business. And so I did, started a coffee business, and kind of, didn't really know all the ins and outs of e-commerce and coffee business. And I had a buddy who had a 1 pound roaster, and I asked him to teach me how. So we did. And so we made a cup of coffee that's called the Moab, and it's fucking delicious. It's my favorite cup of coffee still today.
Okay.
And
I'll be waiting for my free sample.
That's right, man. I'll send you for sure.
I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. So before we continue, we're gonna go backwards, right? But first, I just want to say, I'm sure you've had your struggles, and you haven't always been positive or motivated or seemingly to like just take. What it sounds like to me is like you keep taking the hits and you just keep rolling forward. And like, I'm very proud of you, or like encouraged by your willingness to be able to take the hit and just keep moving, and like not allowing it to hold you down and keep you back. Now, has there been times and like periods that like it has held you back and kept you down? Yeah, I'm sure. And I'll try to get them out of you as best I can. But it's like year after year, there's one thing after another, but you're just finding a new way to improvise, adapt, and overcome, whether it's like starting new businesses, finding partners, whatever the case may be. But before we dive into all your business, I want to go back to figuring out how you made it through that struggle of being told that you're no longer an asset, but a liability, and transitioning out of the military. Like, did you fall into like negative coping mechanisms? You fall into like a negative lifestyle for a while?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I started eating a lot. I went from 195 pounds to 275 pounds. I use food as my coping mechanism. I also used alcohol a little bit, but not to the extent where I had a problem.
Says most alcoholics.
Yeah, well, I didn't drink every day, but sometimes I would overindulge.
Yeah,
when I would hang out with buddies or
like
something like that.
You turn into the Pringle can. Like, you don't always have to drink, but once you pop, you don't stop until you're waking up with regret and remorse. Who the fuck do I gotta apologize to now?
So, yeah. Oh, I've had those days, man. I've had those days. Well, and I don't drink anymore. So
Good for you.
Because of the skeletons in the closet, because of stuff that's happened, it unlocks a door, man. That's just
The demon door.
nasty, man. Yeah. After I had so much to drink, man, I just don't turn into the person that I am. I turn into this fucking monster.
Yeah.
And so I don't drink anymore. But yeah, I use food. I coped heavily with food, man. I mean, just root beer floats, actually.
Dude, that
Root beer
sounds
floats
good.
are my nemesis, man.
That sounds good.
But yeah, you know what? And my wife helped me out the best she could. I went to counseling after I got out.
Okay.
Because I knew there was I started seeing some signs, and I was like, I need to continue help. And so I did, got help, got healthy, or healthy-ish is what I thought I was healthy. Healthier. And then, continued about my life, my dad kind of really built up the resilience in me to keep going forward, no matter what happens. Keep going forward, keep pressing. And so he always kind of instilled that into me. As a kid growing up, I didn't know that. But now, as an adult and going through some of the shit that I've gone through, I can 100% see that. But I thought the worst part of my life is, one, dealing with the traumatic stuff that we deal with in the military, right. Being in combat. Yeah, that is 100% traumatic, and nobody can take that away from you. But that actually wasn't the most traumatic thing that's happened in my life. That is definitely the close second.
Okay.
But it was what happened after the fact, after closing the construction business, is what really made me spiral out of control.
Okay.
And I have some lessons learned on that.
I
No,
bet. Um, when you started to go to therapy, did you have to find multiple therapists before you found the one that worked for you?
yeah, well, so I actually went to group therapy.
Okay.
I did go to therapist, but I was like, listen, talking with somebody who's never experienced it and never done it, and it was a lot of back and forth, and I was
Hmm.
like, I didn't feel like I was getting anything out of and I wasn't getting any better. I would just go there, I would cry, and then I would feel like, okay, I'm weak. I'm not confident in myself still. But then what really helped me out was talking with other veterans. That is what just, I was like, okay, like-minded individuals, like who've been through some of the um, same experiences. I was like, shit, dude, that helped me out way better than anything else I've done. Then I did another therapy session. It was called Wave, but they changed the name of it. I don't know what it is, but it's water therapy.
Okay.
And so they take it and they take you and they kind of float you around in a pool and do this water therapy. So then when you feel after so many times, you kind of learn to cope with water. And so if you start feeling anxious, anxiety, you can go get some of that cool water, warm water, whatever water you want. You splash it on your face and it kind of gives you that relaxing sensation. And I still use that technique today.
Yeah.
If I'm like overwhelmed or stressed or whatever, I'll go jump in a shower or I'll go, sink, get some water, put it on my face because it's just that calming. I have now developed this healthy mechanism to calm myself down.
That's awesome that you found something that you can still use to this day, because mental health and stress and drama and trauma and all that, it's going to follow us for the rest of our life, right? It's
Yeah.
always going to come at us, but it's up to us to learn and move forward and keep fighting it. Like, we have to actively fight our mental health daily. It's a fucking muscle, and we got to treat it like one and it's stronger than any muscle in your body. Like, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Like, your brain, if you don't control your thoughts are going to control you. And I never understood that until I'm starting to be able to control my thoughts, or I'm catching them a lot sooner. Before I hit that period at the end of the sentence, I'll get like the first three words out, and I'm like, this isn't how I need to be thinking, and I'll change it. So, like, awareness, that $1 million word.
That is 100%, man. That's having self-awareness is absolutely crucial. You know what I
Yes, sir.
mean? And I think that's harder to come by than I think most things. Having to learn how to be self-aware, because not a lot of people
Absolutely.
are self-aware. Not a lot of people have those tools to go, hey, this isn't healthy. I need to change the way I'm thinking.
And even if you think you're self-aware, you need to look yourself in the mirror and look at it from a different angle to see if you actually are. Because a lot of times, for me specifically, I would fall into a pattern of routine thought process, and I'm like, okay, I'm aware of this, but I was aware that I was thinking that way, but I wasn't aware that I could control it and turn it into the way I needed to think about things. And how you said you went to group therapy that worked for you, I honestly feel like group therapy is the same thing as being active duty in the barracks still.
I agree.
Because you're, like you said, you're around like-minded individuals. You can talk and joke and use your dark sense of humor and not have to worry about being locked up or sent away, like, or
Yeah,
people looking at you like, dude, I got to stay away from this dude. Be like, nah, dude, that's my brother, man. Come on. Yeah, man. I think
yeah,
that same thing all the time. So
yeah.
it's nice because you can actually be your genuine self, because uh the person you become and your thought process in the military does not transition with your transition. You have to transition to the real world thought process all over again, because you have to be careful of what you say, when you say, and how you say it. But in the military, you're basically could just say fuck you for every word and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean that's part of eval.
Yeah,
I mean
absolutely.
that's it. Yeah, that it struggled. I struggled with it. You know, and I think that's why I'm pretty good at being a business owner, man. Is because I do have a drive. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
had a drive when I was in the military too, but like, not like I have a drive now, man. It's
right.
it's a whole different concept, whole different drive.
Well, that paycheck's not guaranteed anymore either. So You have to.
What paycheck?
Exactly. I feel that for right now, but it's all about the change for us.
That's it, man.
Um,
You know,
so you
there's,
said,
you
go
know, there
ahead.
was a guy who I was talking to recently, man. You know, right now I'm not walking around with fuck you money. I want to rock around with fuck you money. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
I don't
sir.
give a fuck. I'm gonna do whatever I want. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to try to find, right? But in the
Absolutely.
also while doing that, helping veterans along the way.
Yeah,
You know, and that's
absolutely.
what this coffee company is all about, is helping veterans, man.
That's awesome.
It really helped me out. Actually, I mean, coffee really saved my life.
That's good. I have one question before we
Sure.
dive into your coffee business.
All right.
But you said combat was not the most traumatic event in your life,
Yep.
but what happened with your construction company was. So I want to hear about that.
Okay. That was a start, man. So in 2020, I find out my business partner was started a business behind my back, started another business, um, using assets in our business to get that one started, neglecting his projects, and you know, in a matter, I thought I was on the way to be a millionaire. In a matter of weeks, I'm 700K in debt. Um, so I opened the soul cleaning business, ended up getting sidelined because of skin cancer. So I'm sitting there drinking the overpriced cup of coffee and Googled how to start a coffee business. And then went to my buddy who knew how to roast coffee. And we roasted my favorite badass brew, is Moab, mother of all brews. And so as I'm sitting there kind of getting this business kind of started, I started getting lawsuits served to me. And this is in 2021. Started getting lawsuits. Now the mounting pressure of that 700K in debt is coming to reality. Um, and then I'm also, um, uh, so started getting the lawsuits, the mounting debt. The bank is foreclosing on my house because I have a line of credit out on the house I was attached to the construction business. And then I started talking with bankruptcy and business attorneys, and I'm dealing with skin cancer, all the while trying to take care of 4 kids and not go homeless. So this is where you would expect me to talk about my lessons learned through perseverance and resilience, but it gets worse. My oldest son got involved in drugs, so I had to have the same. I had to tell him to get his shit together or get out. The same talk that my dad had with me in Yukon, except he didn't get his shit together. Then my oldest daughter, attempted suicide, and I was shattered. So I made a decision. I wrote 5 letters to the 5 most important people in my life. And I went and visited one of those guys I wrote a letter to. And at the end of the conversation, I told him, I love you, man. It's been great knowing you. And he looks at me and he goes, what the fuck do you mean by that? And I told him, dude, I'm done. I'm a lousy father. I'm a horrible husband. I'm financially destroyed. I'm ready to end my life. I was about to be one of that day's 22. But he asked a question. He asked me something that saved me. What's one positive thing in your life? And I told him, nothing, man, nothing. He goes, bullshit. One positive thing, no matter how small it is. I told him I really enjoy my cup of coffee in the morning. He laughs. He goes, great. We'll start there. I was like, dude, I need more to that than a cup of coffee. He goes, no, you don't, man. Start there. So for 21 days, I woke up, started my coffee machine, went back to bed. When it's done, I woke up and I enjoyed some of the best, most tasteful, life-saving coffee ever. And stuff started looking a little less bleak. And so then started looking at it, and life started looking a lot more positive. I could go to the beach. I started Krav Maga. I started spending time with my kids. But most importantly, I worked on myself.
Okay.
And every morning I wake up, I celebrate the badasses I know, the people I fall alongside, and also my kids trying to find their own way, and to the friends that were there for me through the darkest times of my life. And sometimes myself, not because I'm some tough guy, it's because I didn't give up.
Right. Like, that's a lot, man. I'm sorry you went through it. Grateful and glad you're here today. So I appreciate you for your perseverance, and I appreciate your friend for asking you that one question. There's something that I've heard recently, and it was like somebody was talking about their suicidal journey, and that I believe it was his dad asked him or told him, like, just give me one more day. Don't worry about the rest of your life. Just give me one more day. And when you wake up tomorrow, give me one more day. And so, like, you just, it's almost like reverting back to boot camp for me, right? Like, we were always told, don't focus on what's next. Don't focus on the end of the day. Don't focus on graduation. Just focus on making it to your next chow, your next
Yep.
chow, your next chow. Kept you in the moment, kept you alive, like,
Yep.
so you got to stop thinking so big and start thinking small again, because the world may be a big place, but it's small things at a time.
That's it.
So, and the biggest thing you said, you started to work on yourself and started to love yourself again. So, like, that's a key importance. And I'm sorry to hear about your daughter and your son, and I hope they're all doing better. I hope things continue to get better for you. And I
Yeah.
mean, not to be an asshole, but who would have thought coffee would save your life like this?
I would have never guessed in a million years that coffee would have saved my life like this. Like him asking that one question and me sitting there going, I don't have anything to be thankful for. I have nothing to live for. And he's just like, one thing. And I was like, shit, I love my coffee.
And you probably said
And then,
coffee as like a smart ass answer. Like, life fucking sucks. All I have is coffee.
yeah.
And then look where you're at
Well,
today.
no, I mean, I was serious. I really, because I looked forward every morning to that cup of coffee, man. Like that was that one thing that really was just like, okay, like I'm in control of it. I'm making it. I'm drinking it. I decided when I finish it,
Right.
I'm in control of it.
Okay.
Not only that, but it was good. And I was just like, I sat on my back porch and just drink the cup of coffee, man.
It's got
And
to be
then
peaceful.
started chunking away at the problems. And today I'm doing good, man. Today I'm doing great.
Awesome.
It goes back to being, I like to use analogy. Some people get it, maybe not everybody will, but we're kind of like muscle cars. We're like classic cars. We're like old classic muscle cars, right? We're a constant need of a little bit of fine tuning. You might be good for a while. You might not have an oil leak for 2-3 years, but then all of a sudden something triggers that. It's okay to go back to the body shop or to your mechanic, or to whoever you're getting help mentally from, and go, hey, anyway, I can get some more sessions. Anyway, I can go talk some more, or go back to another group.
Right.
That's, but not only that's a different step to get to that point. What I really hope and what people take away from this is if you know somebody that is going through these life changing events, don't be afraid to ask. Talk to them, ask them how they're feeling, because that's going to show some compassion. They're going to be like, wow, okay, somebody does care about me. Just like my buddy was, in tune with the conversation we're having. And thank God he was, because if he wasn't, he never would have asked that question. I wouldn't be here today. I would not have talked.
Absolutely.
People who don't know us don't know what we're going through. It's the people that know us that can see these transitions happen.
Right.
So be definitely go out there and ask. Definitely go out there and communicate, and don't be afraid to use the word suicide.
Right.
Because that's not going to make the person go and commit suicide. They're going to be like, okay, wow, somebody does actually care about me.
Right.
You know,
And
I
like,
do care about
honestly,
somebody.
like you responded positively to your buddy, right? But sometimes people in their dark places, they may respond like negative or mad or angry with you, but like you're doing what you can to show that you care and they matter, and they may not know how to perceive it and like express it back to you, and
Mhm.
it may cause them to get angry, but that doesn't mean like they're mad at you and they hate you and you were wrong. It's just that they didn't know, and they may not have been as severely suicidal or down as you may think, or they could be even worse than they're showing you. But just putting in the effort, it goes a long way
Well,
regardless of their response.
100%. And it's okay that you don't know what to say.
Right.
That's 100% okay. You know, but you can tell them that you're there for them. You know, you can say, hey, you can even ask to jump on a call to call the hotline together. You know, just being a non-judgmental ear is can
Absolutely.
be crucial. You
That's
know,
part of why I believe everybody, no matter how perfect their life is, needs therapy. Everybody needs an unbiased person to hear about what's bothering them, what makes them tick, what makes them live, or what makes them so mad and angry. Like you just need somebody to be able to vent to, in a sense, to just like let it out, so you're not holding it in, because like you can hold small things in here or there, yeah, but eventually holding all that shit in, you're gonna erupt, and it's most likely gonna be on the smallest fucking straw that broke that camel's back.
yeah, yep. That's exactly it, man. It's not going to take much for you to erupt,
Right.
you know, and you know, it's about the people that you're around to see the signs to get you there because you know, just like I didn't step out and go forward and go, hey, I need help. I was embarrassed. I wasn't confident.
Right.
There was nobody in my life that could ever help me out because I'm going through this absolutely worst. When in reality, yes, there are. There's a ton of people out there willing to help,
Absolutely.
you know, but you've got to open that up and saying, I need help.
Yeah, and we all need to realize that we're the ones that are holding ourselves back. We're the ones that's allowing our minds to think like this. And like, yeah, when you're in it, you're gonna look at me and say, "Shut the fuck up. You have no idea." But in reality, I do fucking know. I know how hard it is to get out of that rut or that dark hole that just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Like, it does feel impossible, but I'm telling you, it's not. It is possible, and it all starts with you. There's no medicine, there's no person, there's no nothing that's going to work for you and get you out of where you're at in life if you're not putting in the work. Because like you can go to therapy, but if you walk out of therapy and do nothing until your next therapy session, what the fuck are you doing? You're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, you're wasting that person's profession,
Yep.
and like you're paying to give them food and keep food in their mouth while you're fucking at home just hating your life, right? Like, no, you have to put in the work.
That's
Nothing in
it.
life is easy.
That's it, man. Nothing in life is easy.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's just like starting a new job or open up a company. You know, the mental health game, it's a grind.
It
Like
is.
you're going to experience worse than it's getting better. You're not going to go to therapy and go, wow, this is so much better. You're going to be opening doors, and you got to be vulnerable to that
Yeah, you have to be
and be honest.
willing. It's like therapy is ripping off a fucking band-aid. You have two choices. You can do it slowly and painfully, or you could just rip that shit off. So if you do that slowly and painfully, you're not going to open up in therapy, and you're just keeping that fucking band-aid on, and you're not going to heal, and your wound's never going to recover, and you're just going to make yourself more painful. It's smaller pain. It's a low level pain for a long period of time, opposed to a fucking high level of pain with quick results, I guess you should say, or quick,
Yep.
like, I'm not sure the proper words to say here right now, but like, I'll just gonna go back to results. Like, it's a quicker result. Like, you rip that band-aid off, you've punched through that fucking wall. Yeah, it hurts 10 times harder today. Tomorrow it's going to be easier. And honestly, when I've broken through walls in my therapy sessions, it almost instantly got easier because I could feel that brick wall getting released off my chest, my shoulders, and I could breathe again. So like, oh my God, it's so fucking scary. I'm going off a cliff. Like I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. And then you get through it and you're like, I could do that shit again. And it slowly gets easier. It'll always stay hard, but it's going to get
Yep,
easier.
100%. 100%. There's a picture that I saw. I can't remember where I saw. I think on Google, probably, most likely. There's this picture of uh, this veteran, and he's got this big old shackle on his ankle, and behind him, this huge ball, this huge, just you know, huge ball.
Was he
Uh,
hugging it?
nope,
Okay.
nope. And there was another person in front of him asking, if you had one wish, what would that wish be? He goes, I wish I had a key to this chain to release that PTSD or that trauma or whatever that ball is to you, to release it. And I was like, man, that's huge. That's a huge statement to say, because we're all searching for that key,
Right.
but we all have the key.
Yes, sir. It's inside you.
It's inside you. Now it just takes sometimes somewhere else to release that. And
It
that
takes
ball, man,
strength.
that
It
changed me.
takes strength and courage.
Yep.
Because you may think the stronger man is the one keeping that ball and dragging it for day's end, right? But no, that's the miserable person. That's the weak person because they don't have the testicular fortitude, the ovarian fortitude, whatever the fuck you want to say,
Yeah.
to get out there and face their demons head on. If you can look, literally, if you can look at your demons in your dreams, they're not going to come back. They're all there to intimidate you and scare you, to keep you from looking at them. But if you look them motherfuckers straight in the eye, they're going to run away faster than you are.
They are. Yeah,
And
that's
you can look them in the eye, scared shitless, getting ready to shit your pants, but they're going to be the ones to run, not you.
well, and that's exactly it. And that's why I started sharing my story, is because hopefully it'll save lives and give inspiration and hope to somebody out there, either the person who's thinking about suicide or somebody who knows that somebody else is going through a life-changing event. And that life-changing event be losing a job, divorce, a business closing down, bad partnership. I mean, a kid attempting suicide, a kid addicted to drugs. I mean, there's so many facets out there, and I'm just touching on points that I know of,
Right.
that I've experienced, the skin cancer,
It could be
bankruptcy.
as little as getting a C instead of a B, right? Like it,
Yeah.
it does. I take that back. That's not a little thing to some people. Like, don't compare your trauma struggles to other people's, right? Because like they're
Yep.
not in your brain. They don't live your life. Like nothing. It doesn't matter if you think, oh, like he went to combat, he deserves it more. He has worse struggles than me. Yada yada. No, it doesn't fucking matter because he's not you. You're not him. You're not living his life. He's not living your life. Live your life. Live your concerns. You're entitled to your feelings, your thoughts, and just keep moving forward.
That's it, man. I mean, that's what you got to do.
I do have a
You know?
question for you, and I don't want to put the
Absolutely.
spotlight on
100%.
you, but here we are. I'll back
No,
the
let's
bus
go,
over you
man.
if I need to. Earlier, you mentioned that you would go to therapy and you would cry and you left and you're like, oh, okay, now I just feel weaker. Now I'm just a bitch. Do you still feel that way?
Absolutely not.
It's a safe, it's good to cry, bro.
Oh,
Like
yeah. 100%.
you may feel embarrassed or shy about crying, right? Or you may feel like you're a bitch. Like, trust me, I feel that way. I feel like I cry more than my wife, and I'm like, dude, this is fucking not cool, right? But at the end of the day, if I need to let that out, like I gotta let it out because like I wish I could cry more. Swear to God. Like I honestly wish I could fucking cry. Like I want to cry so bad that a tear will come and then it'll like dry up, but I'll still feel that feeling. There's a release that comes from crying. For me personally, it feels so after you cry like a little baby and you say you want your mommy and whatever else you need, right?
Yep.
Uh, and you're done crying and you can pick yourself back up, dude, you just feel so much better. You feel lighter and you're able to like deal with life more because whatever you cried out, you no longer have that bottled up as condensed as you did previously.
Oh, 100%, man. That's just it. I mean, this whole we're in a different era, a different time, man. It's okay to cry, guys. you know, gals, it's it's okay to cry. That doesn't mean you're not tougher. Doesn't mean you're weaker. Doesn't mean anything. You know, so the first time I told this story, I was at the Military Influencers Conference. And there was this guy who talked about his story. Just a story. It was his 3-minute story. And I sat there and listened to him, and I was like, wow, that's powerful. So I went to this conference, and I was just like, okay, it's another military conference, blah, 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 blah. You know, shake babies, kiss hands type of thing. So I had that mindset going in there, which that's a wrong mindset to go into anything. You know, it's just another thing, going the rigmarole, checking the boxes. No, that's a wrong mindset to go in there. So I met this guy, his name's Dan. Fantastic guy. So he asked me, he's like, what's your story? So I told him a very skim, bulletproof thing of what, way little than I went over here today. He goes, okay. He goes, but what's your story? So I thought about it. And then I started kind of talking to him about my life. And at this moment, me and him shared a moment, because he started getting teary-eyed. Maybe a couple of tears ran down my face. And I was like, wow, I'm in a professional setting and I'm over here shedding tears. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I shedding tears? Why am I doing this? I shouldn't be doing this. This is not what men in the military do. Ended up, he's been a big inspiration in my life. Huge. Awesome. And this is just a short time ago. This is just a few months ago. You know, so he goes, listen, he goes, you need to tell the story. And I was like, hell no, I ain't telling this story. I'm scared to death. What are you talking about? He's like, look, he goes, I think you should tell this story. It will give people hope and inspiration. And so I was asked to do a conference, to speak at a conference. It's called the Veterans and Business Network, The Struggles of Success. So I did. And I gave my very first speech, and it was in a room of 250 people. I was scared.
Hell yeah, dude. Fuck public speaking.
I was like, at first I was like, okay, 20 people, you know, and I was like, all right. I was like, and then when I walked in the room, I was like, this is not what I signed up for. Like, how did you betray me like this? I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay. And I'm in this corner going, I can't do this. I can't do this. Scared. My palms are sweaty. I've never had my palms, I think, sweaty in my life. My feet are sweaty. My armpits are getting sweaty. I've never done that in my life. And I've done public speaking, and I'm okay, but I've never told my story publicly. You know, I speak about business, you know, blah, blah, blah. That is way easy, because all it is, hey, this is what I did in business, boom. But my personal story of, you know, going through hell to triumph was pretty crazy, and did a fantastic job, and really inspired a lot of people, and met a lot of people that are just great people. And people afterwards came and shared some of their stories of their struggles. And in turn, a couple of people were like, hey, I need to go get help. And from that moment, I was like, wow.
It feels
that
good.
Is life changing. Me being up on their stage and just telling some of the struggles I've gone through in life. And these people are coming up to me going, thank you so much. I also need help.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it was so powerful. I have never in a million years ever thought me telling my story would ever inspire somebody like that, would ever give them that hope, give them that realization, like, I need to work on myself. I am also deeply struggling, and I should go get some help.
And that's got to feel so good for you. And like there's a double-edged sword of positivity of sharing your own story. Because one, you're getting it out and you're helping yourself.
Yep.
The second edge is you're helping other people that you may think are stronger, more badass than you, yada, yada, yada. When they
Mhm.
come up to you and open up and thank you for sharing your story, your struggle and whatnot, like that makes you feel good. Like, I don't mean in like an egotistical or way like that, but like that's helping your mental health by knowing sharing what you went through is inspiring and helping others to get through it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm going out there and sharing my story to hopefully it does give hope.
And what was the name of that
Which one?
event, the event you went and shared your story at?
Oh, Veterans in Business Network.
Vets and Business Network. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Fantastic organization.
okay. Let's talk a little bit more about Red, White, and Badass Brew.
Let's do it, man.
All right. Tell me about it.
So hey, we've been in business just for a short time here, a little over a year and a half, but I really started knocking it down in about 6 months ago, and taking it serious, man. I took the leap of faith and quit my job
Okay.
and started doing this 100%. It's fantastic. You know, the the coffee is the vehicle. I've got to make sure I've got to make sure I have a very good vehicle in order to support my mission, because the mission is what's important to me, and that's to help our veterans, men and women, from PTSD prevention and suicide, PTSD and suicide prevention. That is my main goal with my coffee, is to help out to curb that suicide rate, to help out that 22 a day. Not only that, but that's also my goal, to help with my story. You know, so with everything that's purchased, portion of the proceeds go to Shelter to Soldier. It's a nonprofit. They take shelter dogs and they train them to be PTSD emotional support animals.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, man. And got some new things coming down the pipeline. About the middle of next month, I'll be doing K cups.
Okay,
So
that's
K cups
cool.
are coming online.
Okay,
Uh,
moving on up.
yeah, I got a new roast coming out.
Is
Um,
it the MVGA roast or what?
no, not the MVGA roast. Uh, it's called Zero Dark 30 Espresso Roast.
Okay. How many roasts do you have so far?
How many do I have in my? Well, I have six. I have
Okay.
six that I sell right now. That'll be the seventh, but I might take down a roast and let it sit aside for a while
Okay.
and have that
Well, that's
replaced.
exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. I love the coffee business, man. I've being a serial entrepreneur, it was kind of you find your place. You're like, oh yeah, I found the business, but this is the business that I was supposed to be in.
That's awesome. It's great that you can go through so much tragedy and trauma and find something that you're just like so passionate about that gives you a meaning to life. Like, don't get me wrong, you have plenty of that, like your family, your kids, like they all give you meaning to life. But this is something for you that
That's it.
like it is so important, especially family or not, you need to be able to have something that is for you. You can't be doing everything for everybody else all the time and just going by. Like, it's not going to work out. You need to find your passion. Doesn't matter if it's something small, doesn't matter if it's drawing for 10 minutes a day or whatever the case may be. Find something that's for you and hold on to it, because that's going to help you grow. It's going to help you get through tough times in your life, and it's going to help you prosper. So just
That's it, man.
keep doing it.
You got to keep moving. Got to keep doing. And that's you have to work on you. That's the main takeaway for mental health, is working on you. Because if you're not loving yourself, or striving to be the best version of yourself, that's going to follow you on every aspect of your life. Being a father, being a mother, being a business owner, being an employee, being a friend, everything you do, it's going to fall in line with you and how you take care of yourself and how you love yourself.
Absolutely. If you don't love yourself, then you're not going to love anybody. You're
That's
not going
it.
to treat them correctly. If you can't treat yourself correctly, why are you going to treat your spouse, your kids, or anybody else correctly? So like, I'm not saying you're going to be a bad person, but you're not going to be the best you.
No, you're not. I mean, going through everything I went through, I often reflect back to almost weekly. I reflect back and I'm like, wow, that is crazy that I went through it. What it was even crazier though is how I treated the people around me though. How I treated my
Unknowingly,
kids.
most likely too.
Oh yeah, I had no idea I was neglecting. I wasn't neglecting my kids. They always had a food, shelter, but
Right.
I I emotionally was so strained. I had nothing to give. Zero.
Yeah.
I was so unhealthy with my thoughts and my suicidal ideology that everything else, it didn't even freaking matter. Had no balance, didn't matter. The way my kids thought, how my kids were acting, I didn't even give a crap.
No.
Because I was checked out.
Yeah, you were tapped out yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing to look back and reflect, but we all need to realize when we're looking back and reflecting to use it as a growth stepping stool or a tool, and to see that how much you have grown or you haven't grown and what areas you need to grow in. Don't look back and reflect and hold on to guilt, remorse, anything negative, because that's not going to help you. There's nothing you can do about changing the past. There's nothing you can do about changing what just happened. All you can do is reflect on and use it to grow and to make sure it doesn't happen again,
That's
and
right.
how to like build yourself up.
I love that. I mean, I love the analogy. What happens, happened, right? That
Yeah,
movie has already been produced. There's
absolutely.
no taking it back. But guess what? You can change that next chapter coming forward. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
have control of the future. You have control of that next part of that movie coming out.
Right.
You know, and it's always that self-awareness. That $1 million word, man. Being self-aware, dude.
Absolutely.
And don't be afraid to go get help. Even if there's nothing bad going on, it's still okay to go out there and go get some help.
Yeah, you got to talk. And like, you may
Yeah,
talk to your spouse, your friends, your parents, whatever. It's not the same as talking to somebody that is unbiased and doesn't know your life.
I agree,
Because
100%.
I don't care how open and honest you are with anybody in your life. You're going to eventually get more open and honest and real with a therapist than you will with anybody, because as long as you find the right one, and I guarantee you the 1 through 3 most likely will not be the right therapist for you. It's going to take times. It's going to take different versions of therapy,
Yeah,
but just because it didn't work the first time doesn't mean it won't work. Just as long as you don't give up, therapy's not going to give up on you. So keep looking, keep going.
yep, that's it.
So do you have any saved rounds, bro?
Do I have any what?
Any saved rounds? Anything I missed? Anything you want to touch on?
No, I think we hit it all, man. I think it all, we hit it. We hit every little bullet point, you know. Um, but not as smooth as I thought it was going to go.
Well, life's
On
not
my
smooth,
end,
man.
huh?
Life's not smooth.
Hell no.
So like, it's okay that this is patchy or we jump around or I keep going back to things. Like, that's how fucking life is. But we're
That's
still moving forward.
that it is, man. It is. I always tell people, like, I'm not the best presenter. I'm just up here on stage doing my thing.
Right.
This is how I know how to do it. You
And
know.
as long as you're doing it, that's more than 90% of the other people. Like, the people watching your presentation may be like, this presentation shit. Well, where's your presentation? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you didn't do one. You're
Yeah,
not willing to step up here and put yourself in the spotlight. So like, just stay where you're sitting.
that was so the going back to the conference again. That was my first, like, doing podcasts is different, man. Me and you were just chilling talking.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
It's gonna be put out there, but it's not instant, right? Like, I don't
Right.
see the audience. They get to hear me, and I don't know what the results are, but being in front of the 250 people. So I had people come up to me And people, I also volunteer for Veterans and Business Network. I've known them for a long time. They've actually seen the ebbs and flows of my entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So when they made this panel, they were like, Dustin, kind of like my CEO, Dustin, you're speaking at this panel. I was like, okay, voluntold. All right, I'll do it. And then I made that conscious decision because I was gonna make it very generic, but then I made that conscious decision of like, let's make this fucking real. Let's make this about a real struggle. And they didn't even know what I was going to do. They didn't know I went through all of this stuff. They had no idea. They knew some of it, but they had no idea about being suicidal. They had no idea about all the lawsuits. They had no idea about my son, my daughter. Until I told, right before I went up there, I was like, hey man, this is probably about to get real. So I need about 8 minutes. And if you give me 8 minutes, then we'll see what unfolds. Because I had no idea what was going to happen.
Right.
I was just like, I need 8 minutes. So, and he did. He gave me the 8 minutes to talk. And people came up to me and was like, you had 250 people captivated. They put down their cell phones and paid attention to what you were saying. I've never had that in my life. And it was amazing. And again, I didn't see this because if you ever get up on stage and do public speaking, I blacked out. So like, I'm looking around, but I see nothing. Yeah. I just see blur. I'm just blur. Everything's blurry. Right. I know where I'm at. I can see the stage. I can see, and I was pacing back and forth, but it was blurry. Like I couldn't see the person way back in the back.
It turns into like portrait mode on your like phone when you're taking a picture and it blurs everything out, but what's right in front of you. That's what public speaking happens. Well, that's my perception of it.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
That is kind of literally what happened. And it was intriguing, man.
But isn't it wild how your darkest times that you thought was your downfall was actually showing up to turn out to be your come up? Like you literally just talk about how rough of a place you were in, and like, yeah, it's fucking hard to express it, but once you got it out, you had 250 fucking people listening and like connected to it in one way or another. So like, man, I don't want to do these struggles. I wish I never had to go through these struggles, but if my struggles can help somebody, whether it's just one person or not, I would so much rather be the one that had to go through that struggle than anybody else.
100%. That's 100% true. There's actually, I don't know if you believe in God. I do. I questioned my girlfriend at the time. I questioned my Christianity. Okay. And I told her, we're sitting there at my dining room table. And I was sitting there thinking, I told her, I go, I don't believe in God anymore. And she looks at me like, whoa, that's a huge statement. I go, yeah, I don't believe in God. God doesn't exist. And she looked and she's like, why would you say that? I go, because God wouldn't put me through all of this if he existed. And she just kind of dumbfounded, just kind of like, she didn't know what to say. And she looks at me, she's like, you're a strong guy. You're a strong individual. And I was like, all right. And that was the end of the conversation. Right there. Because she didn't know what to say, which is okay. Right. But she listened, I don't know, within 2 minutes, two minutes or 5 minutes, really short after I got done telling the story and we started talking about something else, I get a message on Facebook Messenger. And it was the pastor of the church I go to. And he goes, Dustin, I've been thinking about you the last couple of weeks. I just want to sit down with you next week, if you have time, and I want to take you out to lunch. I'm over here like, I read this message and I look at her, I go, I chuckled. I go, well, I guess God uses Messenger too. She's like, what? I was like, look at this message from the pastor. And she was like, oh my God. And yeah, ended up going there with him, and I ended up telling him a little bit about my life, not much. And he yeah, that was nuts, man. That was crazy. Talking about God letting you know I'm right here.
Right.
I mean, his hand on my shoulder going, you might feel alone, but you're not.
Right.
Like, wow, that was powerful, man.
That
That
is
was
in the
powerful.
most mysterious ways.
Well, I mean, to just the moment, just that moment for him to shoot off a message. You know what I mean? It was just perfect timing. And I was literally questioning my Christianity. And, and here I go, reaffirmed of like, nope, we're not losing you, buddy. God's over here like, not today, not today.
Here's your sign.
Here, you have the Jess Foxworthy, here's your sign.
Yeah.
You might be a Christian if.
Yeah. Religion is on my list of improvements, right? Like, I obviously have my doubts, my thoughts, my feelings towards religion, but I want to start going to church more. And the only thing that's stopping me is me.
Sure.
But it's on my journey.
We never have time, right?
Right. I have the time. I just, maybe laying in the bed for an extra 10 minutes sounds nicer than getting up to go to church. So
Yeah.
I got to stop letting that laziness win, because that laziness is what destroys your mental health. It's not laziness, it's weakness.
Yeah.
And if you fall, there's this thing that I'm gonna butcher it, but it said, if you think about doing something and you don't do it within like the first 5 minutes, you're not going to do it, because after 5 minutes, you're already talking yourself out of it. I feel like 5 minutes is too long of time, and I feel like 5 seconds is more accurate. For my example, I started to go to the gym again, and there's some days where I'm like, I don't want to go, and I'll go sit in the parking lot for 10 minutes before I go inside, right?
Yep.
The other day, I woke up and I was like, I don't want to go to the gym, and I stopped thinking and I just got ready. And then I got to the gym and I was like, I don't want to go inside. And as soon as I said that, I turned my car off, opened up the door, and I started walking, and I had an excellent gym fucking workout. Like, I felt so fucking good after it. So it's true. Like, as soon as you think about something, fucking jump on it as positively, right? Don't take my words and twist them and like, oh, I want to go do something stupid. And I thought about it, I might as well do it. No, don't. Be smart.
Yeah,
Be
right.
strong. Like, be positive, be better, man. Like, stop trying to be cool for the crowd, for your friends, for whatever, and just be better for yourself.
Coolness ain't gonna get you anywhere, man.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, man. Well, I truly appreciate you coming on the show, and I feel like we could talk for hours. It was really good talking to you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. It's amazing, hearing people, hearing me on other podcasts, having me come up and check me out and want me on theirs. And I'm really grateful for you to have me on yours. You know what I mean? Not only that, but I'm glad that you're doing good and you're working on yourself, man. So that's amazing.
I appreciate it.